Emma Carter had spent 16 years at Nexitech, rising from a junior developer to director of software engineering. She had built the company's core data processing system, the backbone of its flagship financial software, ClearLedger, now used by over half of Fortune 500 firms. But in the end, none of that mattered. Sitting across from Daniel Reese, Nexitech's COO, and Linda Parker from HR, Emma could already see where this meeting was heading. A beige folder was placed in front of her, its presence as impersonal as the carefully rehearsed expressions on their faces. "We appreciate everything you've done for Nexitech," Daniel began, voice smooth but detached. "However, the company is restructuring, and we're consolidating engineering roles. Your position is being eliminated." Emma kept her expression neutral. The words weren't a surprise, not after the email thread she had accidentally been copied on 3 weeks ago. "We'll need you to return your company laptop and badge by Friday," Linda added. "Your severance package includes 6 months of salary, extended health benefits, and outplacement services." Emma nodded, picking up the folder but not bothering to open it. They expected shock, maybe even anger. Instead, she smiled. "I understand," she said simply. Daniel exhaled, relieved. They didn't realize she had already made her move. Later that evening, she sent a single text to Jonathan Pierce, CEO of Stratus Analytics, Nexitech's biggest competitor. "It's happening. Last day is Friday." His response came instantly. "Perfect, let's finalize everything over dinner." Emma leaned back, glancing at the city skyline through her office window. Monday was going to be very interesting. The next morning, Emma arrived at the Nexitech office as if it were just another workday. But beneath her composed demeanor, she was orchestrating her exit with precision. Her team, 6 of the brightest engineers she had personally recruited, were still unaware of what was coming. ClearLedger, the financial software they had spent years perfecting, was about to become Nexitech's biggest liability, rather than its strongest asset. By noon, Emma had cleared out her personal files, ensuring no trace of her private research remained on the company's servers. The refinements she had been working on for months, efficiency improvements that boosted processing speed by 48%, were stored safely on her personal drive, beyond Nexitech's reach. A message popped up on her phone. "Dinner confirmed. 7 p.m. at the Lexington." Jonathan wasn't wasting time. At 3 p.m., an all-hands engineering meeting was called, though Emma wasn't invited. Instead, she could see Daniel and the leadership team through the glass conference room, likely briefing her team on the restructuring. Some heads turned toward her office, confusion evident in their expressions. A few minutes later, Miguel Torres, her lead developer, knocked hesitantly on her door. "They just told us," he said quietly. "What the hell is going on?" Emma took a deep breath and smiled. "Check your personal email after work," she said. "Trust me." As Miguel left, Emma glanced at the clock. By tomorrow afternoon, everything would be in motion. That evening, Emma walked into the Lexington, a sleek, upscale restaurant far from Nexitech's headquarters. In a private booth at the back, Jonathan Pierce, CEO of Stratus Analytics, was already waiting. As soon as she sat down, he slid a folder across the table. "It's all finalized," he said. "Exclusive licensing rights, full executive benefits, and a 7-figure signing bonus. The moment you sign, we move forward." Emma opened the folder, scanning the documents. She had already reviewed every detail, but this moment still felt surreal. "They really went through with it," Jonathan mused, shaking his head. "Cutting the person who built their core technology. Reese always was short-sighted." Emma smirked. "He thinks he got rid of a problem. He doesn't realize he's created one." 3 months ago, she had discovered something Nexitech's legal team had failed to do: file the patent for her algorithm. An oversight, they had claimed when she asked. But their internal memos told a different story. They planned to force her out before securing the patent under company ownership. What they didn't know was that Emma had been working on refinements on her own time, using her own equipment, and those improvements, they belonged to her alone. With one final glance at the contract, she picked up the pen and signed. "To new beginnings," Jonathan said, raising his glass. Emma clinked hers against his. Monday morning was going to be chaos. By Friday afternoon, Emma had completed her exit process from Nexitech. She spent the day cleaning out her office, documenting every transition detail and ensuring there was no trace of her personal work on Nexitech systems. She left behind clear handover notes, not out of generosity but as a strategic move. If Nexitech tried to claim she had taken anything proprietary, they would have no case. At 2 p.m., she sat through her final exit interview with Linda Parker from HR. The checklist was routine until Linda slid an NDA non-disclosure agreement across the table. "You'll need to sign this," Linda said, voice professional but firm, standard company policy. Emma glanced at it, then looked back at Linda with a slight smile. "I assume this only covers company-owned intellectual property?" she asked. "Of course," Linda replied automatically. "Great," Emma said, pushing the document back. "Because anything developed outside of company time, on personal equipment, remains mine." For the first time, Linda hesitated. Emma leaned in slightly. "I have taken nothing that belongs to Nexitech. And I assume you'd like to keep this conversation professional?" Linda forced a polite nod, checking off the box without further discussion. By 5 p.m., Emma walked out of Nexitech's headquarters for the last time, her belongings in a single cardboard box. The glass-walled conference room on the top floor was lit, an emergency meeting, no doubt. As she stepped into her car, she sent a final message to Jonathan. "Phase 1 complete." His reply was instant. "Perfect, see you Monday." Monday morning arrived with a crisp, clear sky, a perfect day for a fresh start. At 7:30 a.m., a black town car pulled up in front of Emma's apartment, right on schedule. As she slid into the back seat, her phone buzzed with a notification. "Press releases live. Industry is already reacting." Emma smirked and clicked the link. "Stratus Analytics secures exclusive rights to next-gen data processing algorithm," said Sex's former engineering leader joins as chief technology officer. She scrolled further, noting how the article emphasized her contributions as the sole creator of the algorithm that powered ClearLedger. More importantly, it stated that any company currently using the technology would need a licensing agreement with Stratus. By the time she stepped into Stratus Analytics' sleek, modern headquarters, the ripple effect had already begun. At 9:15 a.m., her phone vibrated with the first message from her former team at Nexitech. "What the hell did you just do? The office is in full meltdown." Emma typed back, "Check your personal email. You all have offers waiting." Meanwhile, 8 miles away, at Nexitech, the executive boardroom had transformed into a war room. CEO Daniel Reese, now pale and visibly agitated, was surrounded by legal counsel and senior leadership. The realization was setting in. Emma hadn't just left. She had taken the one thing Nexitech couldn't afford to lose. And now they were desperate. By Monday afternoon, the fallout at Nexitech was reaching full crisis mode. Emma's phone buzzed with updates from her former lead developer, Miguel Torres. "Reese just called an emergency board meeting. Legal is scrambling. They're pulling every document with your name on it." Emma leaned back in her new corner office at Stratus, sipping her coffee. She had expected chaos at Nexitech, but this was unraveling faster than anticipated. By 2:30 p.m., another text came through. "They're wheeling in servers from the engineering division. They're trying to prove ClearLedger doesn't rely on your algorithm. Good luck with that." She smirked. Nexitech's leadership still didn't fully grasp the depth of their problem. Without a valid license, they had two choices. 1. Negotiate with Stratus for licensing rights, which would come at a painful price. 2. Rebuild their core processing system from scratch, a multi-year effort that would bleed millions. At 3:45 p.m., her inbox lit up with an email from Daniel Reese himself. Subject: Urgent discussion. "Emma, we need to talk. Please call me at your earliest convenience." She forwarded it to Strata's legal team without responding. At 5 p.m., she met Jonathan in the executive lounge. "They'll fold," he predicted, pouring them a drink. Emma took a sip, watching the city skyline. "Not yet," she said. "First, they have to panic." By Wednesday morning, the industry was in full speculation mode. Tech blogs and financial news sites were buzzing with headlines like, "Nexitech's patent blunder, can they survive the fallout?" "Stratus Analytics strikes gold with game-changing algorithm acquisition." At 9 a.m., Emma's assistant knocked on her door. "Daniel Reese has called 5 times this morning. He's asking for a meeting." Emma barely glanced up from her laptop. "Tell him our legal team will reach out." By noon, another text arrived from Miguel. Stock is down 18% since Monday. Investors are furious. The board just called an emergency meeting. Emma wasn't surprised. She had built ClearLedger's processing engine from the ground up. The fact that Nexitech had operated for years without securing a patent was an unforced error of monumental proportions. At 3 p.m., a new email from Nexitech's legal department appeared in her inbox. Subject: licensing negotiations. We would like to discuss fair and reasonable terms for licensing the ClearLedger algorithm. Please let us know your availability. She forwarded it to Jonathan with a single note. They're breaking. That evening, as she sipped a glass of wine in her apartment, her phone buzzed again. Miguel. Reese just announced an all-hands meeting for 8 a.m. tomorrow. Rumors are swirling. Some think he might resign. Emma smiled. She wasn't just winning. She was rewriting the rules. By Thursday morning, the inevitable happened. At 8:45 a.m., Emma's phone lit up with a message from Miguel. It's official. Reese just resigned. The board is scrambling to contain the damage. Emma exhaled slowly, leaning back in her chair. It had taken less than a week for Nexitech to implode. By noon, Stratus Analytics released a follow-up statement. We welcome discussions with Nexitech regarding licensing agreements under fair and industry-standard terms. The wording was deliberate. Stratus wasn't desperate. Nexitech was. By Friday afternoon, a familiar name appeared in Emma's inbox. Subject: Nexitech proposal. Dr. Carter, I've been brought in as interim CEO to stabilize Nexitech. We would like to negotiate a long-term licensing agreement and properly acknowledge your contributions to ClearLedger. Please let me know a convenient time to discuss. Richard Donovan, interim CEO, Nexitech. She forwarded it to Jonathan, attaching a simple note. Phase 2 complete. That evening, she raised a glass at Stratus's executive dinner, celebrating her first major victory as Chief Technology Officer. A year ago, she had been dismissed as expendable. Now, she had redefined the game. Lessons learned from the story. 1. Know your worth and protect your work. Emma's downfall at Nexitech wasn't due to lack of talent. It was due to corporate oversight and underestimation. She knew her value, documented her contributions, and ensured her intellectual property was legally protected. In any career, especially in tech, protecting your work is just as important as creating it. 2. Corporate loyalty is a myth. Emma dedicated 16 years to Nexitech, yet they discarded her without hesitation. Companies prioritize profits, not people. Employees should always be prepared for change and never assume loyalty will be reciprocated. 3. Stay ahead of the game. Emma anticipated her termination weeks in advance and acted strategically, not emotionally. She secured her future before Nexitech even realized what they had lost. Success isn't just about hard work. It's about being proactive, informed, and always thinking ahead. 4. Revenge is best served with success. Emma didn't seek revenge through lawsuits or hostility. Instead, she let her success speak for itself. By proving her value in a new role and leveraging her expertise, she turned Nexitech's mistake into her greatest opportunity. 5. Innovation comes from people, not companies. Companies often believe they own ideas, but ideas belong to the minds that create them. Nexitech assumed they could replace Emma, but without her, their core product became a liability instead of an asset. 6. Build strong networks. Emma's connection with Jonathan Pierce and her former team allowed her to seamlessly transition into a better position. Having a strong professional network is crucial for navigating career shifts. Ultimately, the story is a powerful reminder that true power lies in recognizing your worth, protecting your work, and staying ahead of those who fail to do the same.